Well, purification can be measured by the difference between how we felt when we came to the temple and how we felt when we left the temple. That's one simple measure on an immediate basis. But it's looking at a cluttered room versus an organized, clean room. The room being our mind. That if we're kind of confused and not totally consistent in our approach day to day, we've got some impurities in our mind. And that goes away over a few years, and we feel more clear, more consistent in our day-to-day efforts, more happier person, a more uplifted person. That would be a sign that we've cleared out some of the mental clutter we accumulated in our mind. So it's a change in consciousness, a change in mental clarity, a change in strengthening of commitment, all of that will be resolved.
The philosophy is monism, so people are confusing monism with monotheistic practices, and I feel Hinduism is becoming more monotheistic, and monotheistic practices kind of lead to violence. So do you want to comment on it?
Well, that's got a lot of interesting points in it. Well, to state what we consider the ideals, we use the word theism to talk about worship of God and the gods, which you're calling polytheism, and monism, yes, we use that. So we call our philosophy monistic theism, or Advaita Ishvaravada. And it has both. It has the monism, and it has what you're calling polytheism, which we just call theism. Because polytheism, in its strictest sense, means there's no supreme being. So, lots of Hindus worship a number of deities, but they generally feel one of them is supreme. So, but they worship many. So the word for that is henotheism, right? Exactly. Worship, considering one is supreme, but also including the worship of others. So the two perspectives, monism and theism, go well together. And that's a lecture in itself. But the basic idea is, if you, that's in the pamphlet, for the souvenir for the event. The talk from my guru is on the need for religion. So you'll see in there this very point. He's talking about the highest Advaita is there, Vedanta, in its beautiful simplicity that man is God and this identity already exists. This is the high philosophy of Hinduism. But if that's all you teach, it's not enough for the majority of Hindus. Only a few can survive on that. We need more than that. So we need religion, or the theism, or the henotheism. So the complete path is both, to be able to see the truth in both, and encompass both in how you look at Hinduism and what you're striving for. So that answers part of your question. Or it's less strong, and I'm not an expert in it, but I was listening to a discussion of it the other day because it's part of our children's textbook on the history of India. We put out a textbook, if you haven't seen it, History of Hindu India. It's about 100 pages long. Do you have that in the library? History of Hindu?
We have that. We actually use it as a textbook.
Yes.
Senior class.
So the scholar who helps us, Professor Shiv Bajpai, he's Professor Emeritus from a university in California. they were talking about that, he was talking about that to our editor, Veylanswami, and they're working out a way of saying it. And the genetics is the current point that doesn't support it, an invasion. The genetics is the same in the two areas. So how can one area be going to another when their genetics are already the same? That's what I heard. So then there's the other theory, which I didn't quite catch the support for it, that it went the other way. That it came from India and went out to the other place, instead of coming from that place to India. So I'd say it's something that's modern. You know, it's gone beyond the analysis of language, which I think was the original basis, into more specifics, the provable specifics, such as genetics and other materials. So I look forward to reading what we're going to write on it myself. But definitely we believe it's not supported academically anymore.
As a matter of fact,
In either the 6th or 7th grade throughout the country, world history is taught, which includes the history of religions, and that's where religions are compared. And the material on Hinduism is a lot of minor points and weird stuff, like worshipping cows, rigidity of the caste system, lack of rights for women, things like that are talked about. And none of those kinds of issues are talked about in the sections on Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Well, it didn't start out that way. The Jewish groups and the Islamic groups have been working with textbook publishers for decades to get their sections up to the current level. Hindus have only started recently, so that's part of it. The other sections didn't start that way. And, you know, the question, Christianity probably was always pretty good, but Judaism and Islam were brought up to standard only in the last few decades. So a Hindu section is still substandard, and the idea is it's supposed to be what's called parity. You talk about the same kind of issue for each religion. So you talk about its key beliefs, how it worships, what it worships, like that. It's supposed to be the same, and it's not. So the section has really upset a lot of Hindu kids who go home and complain to their parents in one way or another about it, and different Hindu groups are working to improve it. And it's coming up for review in California. That's the one I'm aware of. It's coming up for a new cycle of review, and groups like the Hindu American Foundation are working to try and get certain changes into the textbooks in California on this round of changes.